The NFL draft is less than 3 weeks away, and we're going over the second tier of the NFL draft team needs. Let's get into it right. Welcome, everybody, to Top Dog Coverage. It's your boy Dirty with your boy C-Dub and your boy Nico. And we are here today to go over the picks 11 through 15, maybe even 16 we might throw in there. But we'll see where we're at that point. But we're going to go over the team needs of each one of these teams, how they fared, maybe a little bit in free agency, which we have gone over. But if you haven't yet, please follow us and subscribe to us at Top Dog Coverage on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and stay connected. Go to Apple, Spotify, swipe up, hit the 5 stars. Make sure you leave a comment. Go to topdogcoverage.com. Make sure you vote for your favorite team. And go to topdogcoverage@gmail.com. Make sure that you guys send us some emails. Let us know who you guys love, who you guys hate, who you guys loathe entirely. And then we can get after it on the show. So, but gentlemen, how are we feeling on this day after Easter?
Feeling good. I mean, we got the draft right around the corner, and everything's starting to ramp up. You know, there's still a couple signings, some news coming through here and there, but really the main focus is on the draft and getting these final checks on these prospects, man. It's an exciting time for us.
Yeah, like Christian said, C-Dub said, draft's right around the corner, but made it another day, so blessed to be here again.
Well, shout outs to LGO joined over at Instagram. So thank you. Big Cowboys fan over there. So thank you for joining LGO and down in Texas. Not bad. That's where C-Dub is based out of and where some legends come from. So I've heard this year. So,
yep, it's facts.
Yep. So, but without further ado, should we just jump? Let's jump to news. We got a little bit of news since we saw you guys last. So let's get into it. Time for the news, baby. The news is brought to you by NorthStashHall.com. If you guys want some hot sauce and some mead, please join us in NorthStashHall.com. Okay, based in West Virginia, where they burn couches before the game and not after. So get yourself some hot sauce and some mead, some MEAD, some honey wine. They have many different flavors. I've fermented some of it myself when I was over in West Virginia. So NorthStashHall.com is the sponsor. C-Dub, you want to roll us off with some news, baby?
Yeah, let's go to Sin City. Let's go to Las Vegas.
Ooh.
So this is as of April 2nd, but the Raiders and quarterback Kirk Cousins have agreed to a deal. So the Raiders' interest in Kirk Cousins has indeed produced an agreement. A deal is in place. Agent Mike McCartney announced on Thursday. So Vegas was identified yesterday as a suitor in Cousins' case. The team remains on course to select Fernando Mendoza first overall in this month's draft, but adding veteran insurance has been a goal this offseason. Head coach Clint Kubiak recently noted his preference for having Mendoza sit at the beginning of his NFL career, pointing to a signing such as this. Cousins has been on the market since his long-expected Falcons release. The four-time Pro Bowler did not wind up being traded during the 2025 offseason, setting up a second campaign in Atlanta. Cousins still wound up making 8 starts this past season, despite Michael Penix Jr. opening the year atop the depth chart. The Falcons proceeded with a cut in Cousins' case, ending his tenure with the team halfway through a 4-year, $160 million contract. Penix and Tua Tagovailoa will compete for the QB1 gig in Atlanta this summer. No such training camp battle should be anticipated in Vegas, given today's news. Cousins will be tasked with handling starting duties, while Mendoza begins his NFL acclimation period. A stint atop the depth chart at some point during the 2026 campaign can, of course, be expected for the Heisman winner, considering the timeline along which rookie quarterbacks enter the lineup in the modern NFL. For now, though, Cousins will prepare for a period where he is positioned to lead in offense.
So what do you guys think about that? Is Kirk Cousins still good? You guys can answer that in the comments section right now. Make sure you hit subscribe, but let's go over that for a second. Is Kirk Cousins still a legitimate QB?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be what, 37 coming up. He doesn't obviously have the arm strength, but I still think he's got the accuracy. He's going to be what, 2 years removed from that Achilles injury,
Mhm.
so I do think he is a viable option. And this gives the Raiders a great chance to let Mendoza sit and learn and get acclimated with the game before just throwing him to the wolves. The NFL's biggest issue is not developing quarterbacks and not allowing them to sit. And I think this just creates a perfect environment to allow Mendoza to come in, learn the offense, get acclimated with the NFL, and let Cousins go out there and do what he does, and then make that transition whenever he feels right.
Nico, what do you think? What's your take on Kirk Cousins? I mean, obviously, he's going to a team the end of, I don't want to say end of free agency, but he's in a team where it's probably a good chance he'll start. What say you?
Yeah, I love the pickup here. I mean, you have Mendoza to sit behind for a year or so, a couple of years. I think it's a perfect comparison. Not like the super strongest arm, but good accuracy and good touch. I think it's going to be good for him to sit there and learn a little bit from Kirk. I think they both would do great for the Raiders.
Yeah, shout outs to Christian Pena, a great mentor. I believe that too. I do think that he could be a great mentor to somebody coming up as a new young kid. I would say best in this draft at least, and we'll see how that goes. But shout outs to Christian Pena. Thank you. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. We appreciate everybody's love on this topic. And again, Christian, I hope they develop Mendoza. He'll be great if they do. They kill NFL QBs not developing them. This is a true statement.
Amen.
Yeah,
amen.
Absolutely. And we got a lot of love. Shout outs to Christian Pena. But we got a lot of love from the Raiders community, all right, during this last offseason. So
We should. Half my friends are Raiders fans somehow.
Yeah,
I don't know how that happened.
And we got one
One
more from Jaheim. Okay, but C-Dub, say yes, Queen.
Yes, Queen.
There you go.
There you go.
You ask and we shall deliver. But
we got you.
Yeah.
We're people. We're men of the people. Okay.
Yeah. Nico, you want to take us over to the Jacksonville Jaguars and what's going on down there in Florida?
Yeah, Jags, Travon Walker agree on an extension. The sides agreed on a 4-year, $110 million extension, confirming $77 million will be guaranteed and $50 million locked in at signing. This deal comes 2 years after the previous Jacksonville front office agreed to terms with Josh Allen.
Nice. Yeah, they that's a lot. Look, Jaguars are making moves this year. What do you guys think about that move? Like kind of like locking down, a good centered base player inside of your defense. What do you guys think of that?
Go ahead, Nico. I'll let you take this one first.
Yeah, when you draft a player that high, I mean, you're hoping to get years and years out of him and making it to that next extension. Hopefully he shows up and fulfills that extension.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's always going to be linked with Aiden Hutchinson, right? They went 1 and 2 in the draft. I think they made a big sting about Hutchinson's arm length and look at what he's done with Detroit. But I think Travon Walker's also come to his own. I think he maybe had a higher ceiling, and that's what Jacksonville was banking on. And I think he's developed into a pretty solid run defender, good pass rusher. And I think him paired with Josh Hines Allen creates a great pass rush tandem. And you got your bookend defensive edge rushers for foreseeable future. So, and we saw what Jacksonville's defense could be. I mean, they had a great amount of turnovers. They were lights out for the first half of the season. So keep up that momentum, keep the core together, and I think it's a great signing.
Yeah, look, end of last year, their defense just turned it on, right? And we said that there is a really good chance that the Jacksonville Jaguars defense could have been good last year. And the first half was a little shaky. We understood it, but then they started actually stopping the run, and then they allowed the defense to take over and score more points. So making a solidified move like this in free agency, making sure your guys are paid, this is exactly what the Jacksonville Jaguars needed to do. They stepped their game up in the NFL draft last year by trading up, getting their guy. Just like C-Dub said, if it's your guy, you go get him. And they did. So they're making some big moves with this new GM, and I think they're trying to turn everything around. I think they have so far. So
I do think the Devin Lloyd, him leaving Jacksonville, is going to be a big hit.
Well played. Yeah.
It's going to hurt. That's going to hurt. Yeah. But, they have this upcoming draft, maybe they can find a new leader to man that the middle of the defense there. So
absolutely. I'm going to take you guys over to around your area there, Nico. So the Chiefs' Rashee Rice will not face NFL suspension. So following Rashee Rice's 6-game 2025 suspension in connection with the felony charges from a hit and run incident, the Chiefs wide receiver faced ugly allegations of domestic violence made by his ex-girlfriend. The alleged victim, Dakota Jones, filed a civil suit accusing Rice of repeatedly assaulting her between December 2023 and July of 2025. In January, she displayed photos of injuries that Rice allegedly inflicted on her. Jones, who has 2 children with Rice, claims most of the alleged abuse occurred when she was pregnant. So on Friday, however, the NFL concluded Rice, quote unquote, has not engaged in conduct that violates the personal conduct code policy, according to Adam Schefter. No suspension is coming at the time, per Schefter. This will be welcome news for Rice and the Chiefs, who have certainly run into a few high-profile off-field issues over the past several years. 1 season remains on Rice's rookie contract. This is big, okay? Regardless of what you do off the field and what you don't, if we're talking football here, it's been hard to get him on the field starting the year, whether it's injury, suspension, whatever it is. And last year, it took a hit.
Yeah, I mean, this is his 3rd NFL season. So I mean, it's really, he had his rookie year, then you had last season with the injuries and suspension, and big thing is his contract's coming up, so you're gonna have to pay him, and you're gonna have to figure out what his worth is. But I mean, on the field, I think he's a great talent. He's good at with the crossers. He's good at catching the ball after the catch. I mean, he was a stud at SMU. I mean, when I saw him, I didn't think he'd go necessarily as high as he did in the draft, but I thought he could be an excellent playmaker at the next level. But it's going to be really interesting to see where the Chiefs put his value at, especially one that, I mean, if you look, they've had a lot of issues trying to keep that team together, and now they're picking 9th overall. So it's one of those situations like, do we start to rebuild? We have to protect Patrick Mahomes. He's coming off the knee injury. So how much value does Rashee Rice give you if you're paying him, $40+ million a year, or whatever his going rate's going to be?
True story. Absolute true story. With that, C-Dub, make the roundabout. You want to go? You want to take us to New York?
Sure. I guess the Big Apple. I guess we have to go there.
Don't sound so upset about it. All right.
Yeah, I guess we'd have to stop off and see Dirty over there. But let's go to the G-Men. Let's go to the Big Blue, if you will. But this is gonna be a twofer. So the Giants have signed offensive lineman Lucas Patrick. So Lucas Patrick has lined up his next NFL gig shortly before the draft. The veteran offensive lineman has agreed to a deal with the Giants. Aaron Wilson of KPRC2 reports. The move is now official per a team announcement. This will be a 1-year contract. Wilson adds to no surprise. Adding along the offensive line was named as a goal by Giants general manager Joe Shane. Shone? I don't know how to pronounce that name. Just call him Joe. That's what GM's Joe said during last week's league meeting. Patrick will now be in place in time for the start of New York's offseason program, which will begin tomorrow, April 7th. The 9-year veteran has made 113 appearances during the regular season over the course of his career. That includes 65 starts. Patrick spent his first 5 seasons with Green Bay. He followed that with a 2-year run in Chicago and then a 1-year campaign with New Orleans and Cincinnati. The 32-year-old's lone start in 2025 came at center, a familiar position. Patrick has also extensive experience at both guard spots. So little offensive line depth there for the G-Men. And then we have some concerning news, whereas Giants' sexy Dexty, Mr. Dexter Lawrence, has requested a trade. So Dexter Lawrence remains under contract for the Giants, but that may not be the case for much longer. The Pro Bowl defensive tackle has requested a trade, ESPN's Adam Schefter reports. Per Schefter, Lawrence will not attend New York's offseason program. Since the Giants are among the teams which made a head coaching change this winter, their program will begin tomorrow, April 7th. Lawrence will remain absent as an indication of his displeasure over the status of extension talks. Depending on how long it lasts, the action will cost him $500,000 workout bonus. Dan Dugan of The Athletic notes. Schefter adds contract negotiations have not yet yielded progress, and colleague Jordan Oranen confirms Lawrence has not been happy for quite some time. As things stand, 2 years remain on the 28-year-old's contract. Lawrence is owed $20 million in 2026 and another $22 million in the following season. The guaranteed money on his pact has run out, however, creating the need for a fresh round of extension talks.
What's your opinion on that? I mean, you get a new coach in there in New York, and it seems like it's a really good coach coming in. You don't know, but then he's been unhappy for a while. But do you think it's a money thing? Do you think it's, obviously a new coach is coming in trying to change culture here? What do you guys think this could be?
Yeah, I mean, if you will, let me start off, Mr. Nico. From my personal opinion, I think with the Giants, they had a bad year last year. Their defense was not very good, despite the talent that they have on there, and he dealt with a lot of injuries, right? So I think he's at the point in his career, being 28, and the position that he plays, and he's trying to get as much money as possible and solidify, his future, right? I think he probably would prefer to stay in New York. But at the same time, if they're not engaging in extension talks and he's not getting the value that he feels like he's worth, the next step is request a trade, right? So I don't know how serious the Giants will take this, and I don't know if that's going to spur some action and engage in those extension talks. But I think he could be a great piece in that hardball defense.
I think he could too, yeah.
I think he could do some damage there, and I think it could set him up to have a big year, right? But they're going to have to get the money figured out. And, from the season he had 2 years ago to his fall off last year, where does he fall within that? I mean, he's going to be making, $20 million and then $22 million the next season.
Mm-hmm.
How much more? I think it all boils down to basically is those guarantees, since the guaranteed money has run out. I just think he wants a little bit more security with his next contract. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. Nico, what do you think about this sexy Dexy?
Yeah, it's crazy. We'll see if he ends up getting that contract extension. Like C-Dub said, had a fall off year with injuries and stuff like that, but he's still one of the best defensive tackles in the league. And at 28, I still think he has some real good years out of him. So I want to see if he gets traded and what his value is, or what the extension looks like.
Yeah. I mean, look, they have more than enough room to take a look at this. You got Brian Burns, you got, him as the tackle on there, but, you still have Abdul Carter, and I'm not saying Kayvon Thibodeau made his case for being a first round pick yet. He hasn't, but at the same point, they are loaded in that front line. So, they might be able to get away with getting rid of one of these guys, and possibly if somebody leaves before this draft or during the draft that gets traded out, maybe they could pick one of the better kids coming up, and maybe they switch their whole game plan. Who knows? I mean, this is what the NFL is all about, right? We switch, we pivot, we move, and and money's just money. That's all it is, So it'll be interesting to see where he goes, because he was a big, he was a big name in New York in the Big Apple. So it'd be interested to see where he goes. But I think C-Dub's right. I think Nico, you're right. It's a money thing. It could be, what does he want to get paid? Where are those guarantees? And I think he would fit good in a hardball system, but everything's got to align, stars got to align, and we'll see where that goes. Nico, you want to take us to the
Cleveland?
Cleveland, yes. Take us to Cleveland, sir.
Yes, we're going to Cleveland. We got Browns signed defensive back Miles Bryant. The Browns have added a veteran piece to their secondary. That Cleveland has agreed to a deal with defensive back Miles Bryant, in 2020, undrafted free agent out of Washington. Spent the first 4 seasons of his career in New England, with his role progressively getting bigger during his time with the Patriots, accumulating in a 2023 campaign where he started 9 of his 17 appearances. He finished that season with 77 tackles, 7 pass defended, and an interception, and appeared with a forced fumble. For his efforts, Pro Football Focus ranked him 54th among 127 qualifying cornerbacks.
Nicely done. Yep. Cleveland just trying to solidify some more, more range in there on that defense. I mean, their defense were lights out. We talked about it on the show last year, how, they just came up and, just dismantled offenses last year, even though they didn't have an offense of their own. You know, so they're just trying to stay afloat here and make sure that they can compete one way or another. Look, they just had an awesome defense last year, and we'll see how that goes this year. So, and for the last piece of news, before we go there, I missed a couple comments here, but we'll go to Christian Pena here. Still one of the best DTs in the league, according to Sexy Dexy, and needs one of those Cam Hayward deals, and the Giants would be crazy to lose him. It would be crazy to lose him. We've discussed that tackle, that defensive tackle, no tackle, coming back, stopping the run. A lot of defensive tackles in this draft as well that are really good as well. So it would be a little wild, but and also one of our guys, one of our own. Here he is, Ozzy, stand up for the Chargers.
Ozzy,
Dexy.
Ozzy
is in our fantasy, our
Dynasty
fantasy. So and also Ozzy had Ravens should trade for him, then take it back again. There you go, Nico. There's your little shot. There's your little shot.
Yeah. He also says something about the Chargers in there.
Fans. This is all I got to say to the Chargers fans.
Oh man.
Looks like Ozzy did say that the Chargers would be a perfect fit for Sexy Dexy if he was on the move. So
there it is. I'm going to take you to one last piece of news, and we're going to go up to Detroit, where the Lions re-signed defensive back Avonte Maddox. So Avonte Maddox is signing up for yet another season in Detroit. The Lions announced Monday they agreed to terms to bring back the veteran defensive back. The longtime Eagles slot defender played 14 games, starting 3 with the Lions last season. This will be year 9 for Maddox in the NFL. Maddox played out a 1-year, $1.42 million deal in 2025. The Lions received a nice return on the low investment. Used mostly as a slot corner in Philly, Maddox played corner and safety during his first Detroit season. The Lions deployed Maddox more often as a safety, and Pro Football Focus viewed his work positively, grading the 9-year vet 8 at the position. So Lions trying to get some of that back. So, but yeah, I mean, I think that does it. I think we're good with the news. I think that's what we got, right?
Yep.
And again, everybody, the news is brought to you by North-Hall.com. So he's a proud sponsor. So go to North-Hall.com if you guys want some hot sauce, some mead, some honey wine, a little bit of something that the Vikings used to drink back in the day. And if you have not yet, please also do subscribe to our channel, Top Dog Coverage, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Swipe up Apple, Spotify, leave comments, topdogcoverage.com. Vote for your favorite team. Gentlemen, we went through 1 through 10 last week.
It's already been a year.
It's been a whole year. We only doing
time flies, man. Shoot.
It does, my friend. So we are going to dive into a little bit of NFL draft, and we're gonna go through the team needs of some of these people. So let's go. Where do we finish off? We finished off at 10, right?
You're on pick 11, the Miami Dolphins.
There we go. The Miami Dolphins. You want to start us off then, C-Dub?
Sure. I mean, Miami, completely brand new brain trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
New head coach, and I also believe new GM as well. Mm-hmm. So you got John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley. They could be the same person too. I think one of them changed their haircut. So, I mean, maybe they're not. I don't know. But some weird stuff is going on there. But they've made a ton of moves pre-draft, right? So they signed Tutu Atwell, Jalen Tolbert, Charlie Heck, Jamari Sawyer, Ben Sims, Malik Willis, Robert Beal Jr., Josh Uche, David Ajabo, Ronnie Harrison, Darrell Baker Jr., Zane Anderson, Lonnie Johnson Jr., Marco Wilson, Alex Austin, Bradley Pinion, Zane Gonzalez, Tucker Addington. So a ton of deals, right? Mm-hmm. But I believe they also have the highest amount of dead money against their cap, right?
Yeah.
Because they had to cut to the no more Tyreek Hill, the trade Jalen Waddle. So this team, we're focusing on team needs for the draft, right? They've added a lot of people, but I still think receiver is an absolute major need because, right now you have Willis throwing to Tutu Atwell, Jalen Tolbert, and Malik Washington.
Yeah.
Which could it work? Maybe. Likely, probably not.
Mm-hmm.
So receiver, and then this corner room is not the best in the world. You have Darrell Baker Jr., who you signed from Tennessee. You have Storm Duck, who's an undrafted free agent from 2 years ago, and Jason Marshall Jr. as your nickel, who they took in the 5th round last year. And their depth pieces is Juju Brents, who they got off waivers from Indianapolis. And you have Ethan Robinson at that nickel. Marco Wilson came over from Cincinnati. And then Ethan Bonner, who was a undrafted free agent from 2023. So you have a lot of depth there. It's not great depth, but I think sticking out right off the page, looking at this depth chart, receiver, corner, and I would say interior offensive line. We got to protect Willis, and we'll see. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts?
Nico, what do you think, buddy?
Yeah, like C-Dub said, we need to get him the quarterback some help, some protection. You got a new quarterback coming in, so try to make it as seamless as possible for him to get comfortable, get him some help at receiver. I like both those options. And you could use some help at corner.
Yeah. I think the corner thing is definitely a need. If you're getting wide receivers too, you're gonna need to stop the wide receivers from the other team as well. But I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I do think that the wide receiver is the first thing. Your quarterback needs to gel with your new wide receivers, your offense. Obviously, they're building around the running back core. A-Chain. They're definitely gonna build over that. But at the same time, in my eyes, I would say that they need edge. Okay, they need edge. They need to get to the quarterback a little bit to try and put some pressure on the opposing offenses. If you can do that and you can get the ball back, you can get a little bit more momentum going with your own offense. So, corner, edge, and wide receiver is my take. That's just what I think. I can see a fight for offensive line a little bit. You don't necessarily have that left-handed quarterback anymore. So are they more reliant on this left tackle that's there now? Is he as good as we think he is? So there's going to be a lot of changes. There's going to be a lot of different things that are going to happen here. And it'll be very, very interesting, to say the least, what they can do at this 11 spot. So
yeah, and also, can we add safety in there too? I think, you signed Lonnie Johnson Jr. from Vegas, but you have him and Dante Trader Jr., a 5th rounder from last year. So you don't have a ton of depth there at that position. So I don't know if you have a true difference maker with the trade of Minkah Fitzpatrick to your rival Jets, to your team. So I'd also include safety in there too.
Yeah. Are there any other things that we want to look up? Nico, do you have anything else to add or contribute to the Miami Dolphins?
No. Just like I said, wide receiver, offensive line, safeties.
Okay.
Pick your poison, honestly,
Yeah. Obviously, I think everybody knows this is a rebuild here, so it's kind of goes that way. Let's go on to pick number 12, where we go down to your area, C-Dub. We'll go down to the Dallas Cowboys, who's the Dallas Cowboys have about $14.5 million left. Their draft pick is number 12. And they could use, we've seen what their defense looked like last year, and it wasn't good. So I'm just strictly pointing at the defense, but also the offensive line. So I am actually going to start off with edge. Ever since they got rid of Micah Parsons, it's been a problem. They haven't been able to get to the quarterback. No pressure has been put on anybody. And
that's crazy. You trade the best pass rusher in the league and you can't get pressure? Wow.
Go figure.
That's how that works?
Go figure, right? And I think it's just, you look at that and it's just, if you were in fantasy football, you were praying to have Dak Prescott and Joe Burrow. Why? Because they had the two worst defenses of the league. So they were always playing comeback, but in this league, you need to win games. So I'm going to go edge right off the bat. That's what I'm going to say. From edge, I'm also going to where am I at here? I'm also going to go. I'm going to go offensive tackle, because they need to stand him up a little bit. So I'm going to go offensive tackle. It's not a dire need, but it is something that they really do need to look at and take a look at. But they need some corners in there, and I think anything from the linebacker back. You pick your poison. Go pick them. Get some of the best in a draft, or go trade for them, because this defense was absolutely atrocious last year. So get a linebacker, cornerback, safety. Get your edge rusher to make sure you can get to the offense, and then get your offensive tackles. Like everything else they have running backs, they have wide receivers, they have tight ends, they have a quarterback. Like it's, but they're not addressing the. I'm actually kind of sick of seeing this from the Cowboys. They have so much talent over there, not doing anything. Like they should be each year. They should be there, ready to take the division. They really should be, and it's actually kind of sad.
Well, I think one thing to note is that I believe they have 8 total picks, 2 in the first round, right? So they have 2 first rounders. This pick 12 and I believe pick 20?
Yep.
Question mark.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I'd agree. You gotta attack the defense. I think Schottenheimer has the offense humming. You got Dak, CD. You'll have to figure out the contract out with Pickens, right? You have Ferguson at tight end. Offensive line, I mean, I'd say right tackle you could definitely upgrade, because you have Terrence Steele, who hasn't played great there at that position. But I mean, you've invested 3 first-round picks and a third-rounder in your offensive line, right? So you could just look for that final piece. But realistically, I think at corner, I mean, you have Siobhan Ravel, who was rated very extremely highly last year, then tore his ACL. So you're hoping he bounces back. And then Deron Bland, who had a ton of foot injuries, I believe, last year. And so you're hoping he bounces back as well. But you did sign a couple of free agents. You got Kobe Durant from the Rams, Darion Kendrick from the Rams, and you signed Jalen Thompson at safety. You trade for Rashawn Gary over there. And, I do think, edge would be a great position to attack. And, depending on how the board looks, a corner for sure. Mansour Delane would be a great fit in Christian Parker's scheme over there. But we got to remember their defensive coordinator came from Philadelphia, and Philadelphia always built through the trenches, right? So you could definitely see DT, edge, one of those positions coming up. So we'll see. I mean, I do think this defense needs to be addressed. You have a new coordinator. So now let's give them some pieces to play with there.
Yeah, absolutely. Nico, what are your thoughts there, bud?
Yeah, you guys kind of hit the nail on the coffin. Yeah, definitely needs anything on defense. I'm definitely going defense with my 2 first-round picks. Definitely need a linebacker, maybe a green dot or someone to just man the field, let everyone know what positions they need to be in with as much help as they needed. But I'm looking at edge as well. They were interested in the Max Crosby trade. They weren't able to pull it off, but I still think they're looking for edge. So I would do defense in the first 2 picks in that first round, just best remaining available, honestly.
Yeah, we got Christian chiming in here. Give the Cowboys a defensive end at 12, Rodriguez at 20. Not a bad pick with that. And we get a corner at the 3rd rounder. I personally, I'm not sure if they don't have a 2nd rounder. I'm not, maybe they don't, but I mean, you still got some good corners in the 2nd round. If I was the Cowboys, I would trade up to go get another corner, because we've seen what that defense could be like when they did have corners and when they were healthy. When they were healthy, that Cowboys defense was no joke. So it'll be interested if they have assets.
No 2nd rounder, 2 first, a 3rd, 4th, 3 fifths, and a 7th.
Okay.
So,
all right. What do we got? All right, so we'll just go over this real quick. So basically anything on a defense, corner, linebacker, safety, edge, and then a little bit of a tackle. The offensive line isn't crazy bad, right? But if we're looking at it, it's mainly defense for the Cowboys. As Nico would say, pick your poison there and figure it out. But yeah, I think they have to strongly really focus on defense there.
Can I also add one sneaky potential need?
Absolutely not.
Running back. You invested a 5th rounder in Jaden Blue and a 7th rounder in Phil Maffa.
Yeah.
But you didn't get too much production from him last year. And you had Malik Davis, the undrafted free agent from back in 2022. So I think that could be a sneaky value pick if you take him a little bit later, maybe one of the 5th rounders or something. it could definitely be a need. I know
So who
you
do you?
just extended Javonte Williams, but you got to have a lot of depth. The running back takes a lot of hits, and you want to make sure that you have some solid guys behind him.
Yeah, but who do you cut after that? I mean, if you already made if you already get Jadon Blue, you get Phil Maffa, who Phil Maffa was actually a really, really good running back. Like he's north-south power horse, right?
Mhm.
But at the same point, you also get Malik Davis, who, dude, when he got opportunity last year, he absolutely threw it down, So if you do get that kind of, who are you letting go of?
You just let the training camp battle play it out. If you can upgrade, if you can get a back to upgrade that offense, I mean, why
Yeah.
not? And let it kind of work itself out during camp. Or you could trade one of these guys too.
Possibility. It's
It's just
always
a sneaky need.
yeah.
And that's tough for me to say because remember Jaden Blue was my guy,
Jaden
a
Blue is your
Longhorn
guy.
legend, come out of
Yeah.
Texas last year.
I mean, he's going to have to climb the ladder with Javonte, though, because Javonte finally came back. He finally came back healthy, and he looked good. He was moving them chains. So
No doubt, but I think Jaden Blue is more of a great compliment back, right?
Yeah.
I think him and Javonte could be that thunder and lightning.
Yeah.
I mean, with Blue's speed and his receiving ability, then that would create a dangerous tandem back there. But
Yeah.
again, you could always want to make sure you have enough depth at running back because running backs get hurt all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's definitely somebody that is fast, electric, but I wouldn't give him the full carries for a complete game, unless somebody's hurt. You really want that to even out. Let's see what we got here, and let's go to on to the next team, which would be a trade. The Los Angeles Rams would be up, and that was a trade from the Atlanta Falcons. So the Los Angeles Rams would be up on this one. And look, I first want to go over what the Rams have done here. Okay, making some excellent trades, getting McDuffie in there and such. And they just bolstered that defense up more than what they already had. We already knew that their defense was absolutely astonishing, but they're in really a great division that they have to continue competing, continue scoring points, continue their defense playing 60 minutes because you're going against the Seahawks. You're going against a high-powered offense like the 49ers who also have a defense. So it's like they just want to keep upgrading, and I understand that. So kudos to them for making that happen. But the Los Angeles Rams, look, they need a little bit of help on O-line here. And they need to find wide receivers that are going to come up. I know that sounds kind of odd, but they need wide receivers to come up. They have Puka, they have Devontae Adams, which is great. If one of these guys go down, you need somebody that can instantly go in there and start to make plays because you are one injury away from something bad happening and falling in this division. That division is a very, very tough division.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, Puka has not had the greatest of off seasons, right? And he's going to be due for a contract relatively sooner than you think, right? But I think the biggest key is the Super Bowl is in LA this year. So this is definitely a time where the Rams are going all in, right? You're getting the Australia game out of the way, week 1, get that done early. But this needs to be put all the chips on the table. Let's load up on, offensive tackle, receiver, linebacker. I mean, you've got a couple. You got Landman and Omar Spates over there. I think you could definitely upgrade that position, that off-ball linebacker spot, and whatever the team feels like it needs to go in. This team doesn't really have that many needs. I mean, if you look at it, right? But I think receiver depth, offensive tackle specifically. I guess you could upgrade the center position as well, add some depth there. But yeah, I mean, add some more pieces on defense, like off-ball linebacker, maybe some more edge rushers, just to keep that rotation, keep everybody healthy, keep everybody fresh. But I think you covered it, really.
What do you think, Nico?
Yeah, I'm looking at linebacker. Their off-ball linebackers they could definitely use some work. Like if someone like Sonny Styles is still available there, which I probably don't think he is, but that would be like a match made in heaven for the Rams. They definitely need some linebacker help.
I would say in that area, that could be the area where maybe he lingers, possibly. Like maybe he lingers to 13, you know,
Mhm.
because we always talk about these guys falling, right? They fall and to be like, oh, well, nobody expected CeeDee Lamb to fall down to the Cowboys at whatever, he did, right? And I understand that that's, maybe a fluke or what have you, but Sonny Styles showcased while we were at the combine how good he really is, how fast he really is. So yeah, he goes up, but that doesn't mean that he stays there in everybody's opinion based upon the speed that they saw. He can drop down a couple different areas. He can drop down a couple different spots, and everybody's like, why is he dropping? Because that hype that we get. Not saying he's not good. He is. He's absolutely excellent. But then they start to drop and they drop, and then all of a sudden it's like a gift on this team's lap. You know what I mean? And sometimes you get that. As teams, Ravens, Saints, Jets, we've all had it. So it's
The
sometimes
Ravens more so than the Saints.
they
and Jets,
really
to be
do.
real.
They
Yeah.
get second
come
round
on.
gifts too,
Just
man.
just
You
call it
guys-
what it is, dude. Come on.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think you guys hit the nail on the head there. Linebacker, I think, is a good one. That offense to keep them upright, and wide receiver, I think they could use some depth there, some really good talent as wide receiver as well too. So can't wait to see exactly what this team can do and how far they can go. Anything else that you guys may or may not have in there?
Nope.
No.
Nah, I mean, you make the big moves at corner, right?
Mhm.
I do think you could add a little bit more depth there because behind
Okay.
Jalen Watson and Trent McDuffie, those are starting outside corners right now. You have Cam Lampkin and Emmanuel Forbes Jr. So,
Yeah.
I think you could add some more depth there.
Yeah, I think Christian has a really good point. Thanks for checking in, Christian. Hit that subscribe button. I think they go offensive tackle or corner, and I think that's just what we're talking about here, right? So, corner, can you get a really good corner there, or if you get a corner in the first round, is it a guy that got passed by and could be one of the best in this draft? It's certainly a possibility, and he can be plug and played very, very quickly. And does it upgrade that defense so much better? Yeah. Offensive tackle, you're going to get a good offensive lineman within these first 15 picks as well, probably. So, whether it's a tackle or a guard, but I lean more towards the guards in this one. But yeah, I think that's we're good. Los Angeles.
I think so.
All right, let's
Yes, sir.
go on to the East Coast where we have a team that is absolutely atrocious, has a terrible quarterback. And hey, look, I don't have one of those because they didn't make rings back in '68. Okay, but Nico, I'm gonna let you start this one off. All right, you go off. This is your team. I'm gonna let you have this one. So tell us about the Baltimore Ravens, what you think, and where they could probably need some help.
Man, with the season we had underperforming, there's definitely a couple of needs, some areas of needs. Looking for a true number one receiver, maybe a big body to go and make those aggressive catches. Definitely need help on the defense. Definitely need some edge rusher help. We did get Trey Hendrickson, but like they said, they were trying to pair him with Max Crosby. And our defensive line was just atrocious last year. So I think pass rush, anything on the defensive line, offensive line, protect Lamar. We can't get a healthy season out of him, so protect him as much as possible. But even cornerback, we do definitely need some cornerback help. But those four would be the top positions I would look for in the draft as the Ravens.
Okay. C-Dub, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, you got to look at what the Ravens lost, right? I think they lost almost their entire interior offensive line. So right now you have Andrew Voorhees, the 7th rounder at left guard, the guard from USC that tore his ACL doing the bench press, or it was the 40, one of those things.
Yeah, it was like the shuffle or something. I remember we were there
a couple
too.
years ago.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you have him starting at your left guard. You have Corey Bullock, who was an undrafted free agent back in 2024 at center. You signed John Simpson from your New York Jets to start at guard, and then you have Roger Rosengarten, the 2nd rounder from 2 years ago, starting at right tackle. So you hope Ronnie Stanley can be, healthy for as many games as possible at left tackle. But I think it really starts with that interior. Where can we upgrade? I would look at center and left guard there for sure. At least add some competition, and then DT, right? Defensive end. Like we're running that 3-4 system, right? With Minter. So is Matabuke gonna play? I know he had that neck injury or whatnot, so I don't know if he's coming back or if he's playing or whatnot. So, but you have Travis Jones at nose tackle, Broderick Washington Jr. At the other spot. So definitely some linemen or D linemen on that. And yeah, I think even with the Trey Hendrickson signing, you could definitely add some more pass rush to this defense. I think that makes a lot of sense. So I think you hit a lot of the needs. Receiver, I mean, you've invested a lot in that position, but I don't know if really there's not too much to talk about there outside of Zay Flowers. I mean, he had a pretty good year, but Rashad Bateman, he's shown flashes. Devontae Walker, 4th rounder from a couple seasons ago. I don't know. I feel like he's kind of a bigger unknown. I mean, bigger body, whatnot. So, but yeah, I think receiver could definitely be a need. I think tight end is way up there. Mark Andrews isn't getting any younger. We have Dermon Smythe behind him. I think you definitely need a long-term answer there because you know how much Lamar likes to throw to tight ends as well. So,
yeah, I would go. Look, I'm going to keep preaching these defensive tackles in this draft, and that is a big need. They need to stop the run here, and Ozzy's on the same mindset as me. Jesse Minter is going to want a good DT for sure. There's some really good defensive tackles in this draft, and go get your guy. You can even get a Lee Hunter in the 2nd round if you want. And that dude is an absolute monster. Okay, we've seen what Sonny Styles can do with McDonald in Ohio State. Okay, like. They plugged that hole, and Sonny Styles and the linebackers and Arvell Reese were able to do what they wanted to do. So you have some really good defensive tackle talent coming in, and I believe that they could really use this. And that's the Baltimore style of culture that they want. They're gonna. What does Steve Smith sometime? We're the bully of the NFL. We're gonna take your. We're gonna take your lunch. Like they need mean people in the trenches. They did get Simpson back. From the Jets over there, so they did make a couple signings with guard and everything, but they lost Linderbaum. They need that center. They need somebody that's going to come up. They need somebody that's going to call out the defensive plays coming from the other side of the ball and make sure that their offensive line is set and ready to rock and roll. So they need somebody commanding that offensive line so Lamar is not running for his life. There's only so many years that Lamar Jackson has left of him running for his life. So they need to solidify this offensive line. And again, this wide receiver, they need a big body in there. They need a solidified number 1 dude. C-Dub, you hit it nail on the head. Like, they've invested so much in this wide receiver room, and it just seems like you have flashes on a pan, and that's about it. You need a big-bodied wide receiver in there to go get the ball and to claim, I am number 1. Give me the ball, move the chains, and let's go. So those are my 3. Defensive tackle, offensive line, and wide receiver.
Yeah, I'd agree, and just add edge too.
Yeah,
and I think we'll call it a day. Is there anything else we want to add for the Ravens?
I think we're good.
Think we're good? All right. So let's go to who we got for number 15 there, bud.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, baby. All right. So Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Can I give that one to you, man? I mean, your boy's over there.
Yeah,
that's your boy.
I mean,
Baker.
Cade Otton. I think he's one of the most underrated tight ends in the league.
Here we go.
He's a guy that he plays no gloves, but elite swag. Right, he'll catch anything, and he takes like some of the most vicious hits you'll have ever seen. Like,
this is why I took a job with C-Dub, because you can never take this man seriously. So
Otton needs some love, dude. Otton needs some love.
He does.
He re-signed for the punishment. But this Tampa Bay team, kind of an absolute disaster last year, if we really look at it, right? They started off hot. Baker Mayfield was one of the hottest quarterbacks coming out. Mm-hmm. And then I believe everybody just instantly imploded, got hurt, and it got ugly fast. You lost franchise legend Mike Evans to the San Francisco 49ers. And, slight rebuild. I mean, they've been a favorite of the NFC South for a very long time, for the last handful of seasons. And they had an opportunity to, make the playoffs and just fell flat. right?
Yeah.
Despite winning, you put yourself in a position where you had to rely on a different team to win to get in, and it's just AFC South ugly football, right?
Yeah.
But I think if you're looking at this roster, you've added a couple free agents. You got Jake Browning to back up Baker Mayfield, Kenneth Gainwell coming over from Pittsburgh to pair with Bucky Irving, Raheem Nunez Roches Sr. coming over from the New York Giants, Ashawn Robinson coming over from Carolina, Al-Qaeden Mohammed coming over from Detroit, Christian Roseboom and Alex Anzalone coming in at off-ball linebacker there.
Right.
And then Miles Kilbrew also being signed at safety, right? So you got a couple signings, but I think the absolute major need for this team is edge. They need pass rush help. They need edge. They need to get to the quarterback, right? This is a Todd Bowles system that can play some pretty good defense. They didn't show it last year, right? They dealt with a ton of injuries. There's a lot of stuff going on there, but I think he's going to be coaching for his job, right? So I think you need to give him as many pass rushers and tools as possible. So I think you really focus on the defense because I think the offense, you could add some more pieces on the offensive line. I mean, you got Tristan Wirfs, who's arguably one of the best tackles in the league. Ben Bredson at left guard, Graham Barton, who you took in the first round a couple of seasons ago at center. You have Cody Mock, second rounder, and Luka Decky, another second rounder. So I like the weapons around Baker there, like the offensive line, and just focus on staying healthy and adding to this defense. Maybe you should add some more depth at receiver because it's kind of top heavy with Emeka Ibuka, Jalen McMillan, and Chris Godwin Jr. Behind that, you have Tez Johnson. That's about it. So definitely some depth at receiver, but edge and defense has to be a priority for this team.
Nico, take us away, dude. What are you thinking?
Yeah, anywhere on defense I see could help in him. Definitely like the depth piece at the wide receiver position after losing Mike Evans. That's a big hole to fill. You got some younger pieces at cornerback. You got Benjamin Morrison drafted last year. Hope he has a breakout season here soon. Hopefully he can hold it down. But I'm saying anything on that defensive line, defensive tackle, edge. Could use some linebacker to help out Alex Anzalone. He's only getting older, maybe learning replacement as well. I would look at linebacker too.
Yeah, you mentioned Levante David, long time, most underrated Buccaneer of all time.
Yo, that dude. I mean, and not for nothing, we've been in classes with Mark Dominic, the genius who drafted him. And he's been one of our mentors. And God, did Levante David just pan out for them? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and late second rounder too. I mean, yeah. And it's because he didn't have the measurables. I mean, he wasn't a superb athlete, but man, that dude, the work ethic, the grind, and the strive to be great. I mean, he's extremely elite. Like, he'll definitely have a spot in Canton one day. But
yeah, absolutely. There's so this is one of the other things that I'm looking at too. I agree with you guys. Tampa Bay could really use a linebacker here. And we're covering basically defense. This is a Todd Bowles, team. This is a defensive team. This is what it's looking like, right? So, with that being said, it's almost like it already has a culture of defense. Now you just got to plug your guys in and do it because some of these guys they're retiring, they're falling off a little bit. Understandable, right? This is okay, but right here is a perfect place where you can get a Sonny Styles. Okay, you have a Vita Vea. Again, Sonny Styles did great with McDonald. Give him another defensive tackle to work with and let Bowles do his thing with another linebacker that played well in Ohio State. Okay, so give him another defensive tackle where he can, cover his blitzes. You know what I mean? Disguise his blitzes so that Sonny Styles can go make plays and such. So I would take one of those linebackers if he's still there at that point. I think you could still get a really good defensive tackle in this draft, maybe round 2. I think they really, really need that. Vita Vea is only getting older. He's still a run stopper. I like it, but you want that next man up. And there are, again, defensive tackles. I love it this year. But also they're going to need some corners coming in here. So I think no matter what, this first rounder, it's going to be a corner. These are the things that they need. You are right about the wide receiver. If some of these guys that are not their guys are gone, then yeah, go after one of these wide receivers that could help you on offense. Because look, Baker's gonna haul it, man. Doesn't he have another offensive coordinator, another different one?
Yeah, he's had
Yeah.
a different offensive coordinator, I think, his entire career. Each year.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm leaning more towards defense here. So I'll put linebacker first. I always think that they have, for some reason, they always find a way to sign some sort of old edge rusher that can possibly get through. And through the scheme Todd Bowles supplies, they always do well. Hassan Riddick or Clowney or whatever it is, whatever they decide to do, right? But they always decide to get some sort of trade or whatever, and it always works out. If they can get some young players in here, Todd Bowles can be able to do it. I would say defense. So I'm going to go linebacker first. I really think that they'll take care of the edge. I'll put cornerback. Actually, I'll put wide receiver second and then cornerback third. That's what I'll do.
Bold take, Cotton.
Pepper needs new shorts. But anything else with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? You guys set with that?
No, I mean, I think this draft's gonna be pivotal. I mean, depending on how they perform this year, there could be a new day and age for the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Yeah, and moving on, like number 16, we'll start at number 17 next show. But 16 would be the Jets again. We already went over the Jets and their needs and such, which would also be the Colts, and we will go over those teams. Falcons, Colts, all these teams that do not have a first round pick. We'll make sure that we dive into those. But if you guys have not yet, please make sure that you guys subscribe. Top Dog Coverage at YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and stay connected with us. Apple, Spotify, swipe up, leave a comment, hit the 5 stars. TopDogCoverage.com for us, and TopDogCoverage@gmail.com to make sure that you guys have your story read on the show. So from all of us at Top Dog Coverage, Dirty, C-Dub, and Nico, we thank everybody for joining the show, and make sure that you guys hit the subscribe button. But we love you all, and this is it for us.
I have one last thing.
Oh.
I have one last thing.
Go ahead.
All right. So in the comment section, it looks like we have some questions about options at certain picks at 12, 20, and whatnot. So we do have a mock draft coming out later this week.
Mm-hmm.
So we have some of our good friends is going to be joining us. So be on the lookout. I'm not quite sure which day it's going to be released on, but we will have a mock draft later this week for you guys. So be on the lookout.
2.0 for us. Yeah. So, but we thank you guys all for joining. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, make sure you share with your friends. And yeah, that's it for us. And we will catch you guys on the flip side. Peace. Later.